Hello, everyone. I hope you are all well. Thank you so much for joining us today, and happy Earth Day, everyone. I hope you are all enjoying Earth Day today. And my live stream today is to tell you all about some of the things that we do to make our events more sustainable. But before I do, I want to show you this. So my colleague Ben laughed at this and thought it looked like something off a CBBC TV program, like I'm about to tell you some sort of story, but I'm not. This is just my little graphic to celebrate World Earth Day with you. So happy World Earth Day to you all. So I thought it'd be worth jumping on today just to do something a bit different and to share some ideas with you. That's what I'm really trying to do today. But before I do that, just a few statistics for you. So during the last 12 months in the COVID pandemic, there's been a real change. And obviously, there's been lots of changes in patterns. And a few of those, which I found this morning doing some research on a site called Renegade.com, is that in the US, there's 40% less domestic air travel at the moment, and people are traveling a lot less. There's been a decrease in carbon monoxide in pretty much all major cities around the world. And carbon monoxide, of course, is what comes from vehicles. And there's generally been an increase in waste across Europe, and more people in European cities buying packaged items online, which has increased the amount of packaged items going in the bin. And something that will probably be a surprise to nobody is that there's been about 40% increase in the amount of broadband which is being used across the whole of Europe. And what I wanted to talk today was about a few things, and it's about how, as an events industry, and when we're organising events, whether you're organising events by yourself or whether you are working in events yourself, some of the things that we can do to actually reduce our environmental impact. Now, it's probably first worth starting off by talking about virtual and hybrid events. Of course, virtual events is what we've all been so used to over the last 12 months. And I think that's something that's going to stay with us for the future. Virtual events are brilliant because there's no traveling to the venue, there's no paper used generally, and there's lower energy consumed. And as we move to hybrid events in the future, there's of course an opportunity having a smaller audience, a smaller in-person audience, which reduces the environmental impact. And the people that are coming to your hybrid events, the in-person audience, they might be in the local area, which of course reduces the environmental impact when it comes to things like travel. So what I want to go through now is 3 things, and I've split it into 3 areas of things that you can do to think about the Earth and be a bit more socially conscious, perhaps, when you are running events. So the first area I'm going to cover is booking your venue, the things to consider when booking a venue. The second thing I'm going to sort of talk around is sustainable transport. And then the third part I'm going to talk about is active eco event management. So some of the things that you can do as an event organizer to reduce your environmental impact. So let's start off with booking your venue. So the first thing that's worth saying is that when you are booking a venue, it's always worth talking to your venue about their green certifications. So looking and working with the venue to understand what steps they are taking to reduce their carbon footprint. Talking to them about things like waste management, how they manage waste, and how they try and make sure that they're doing it in the most sustainable way possible. Second thing to think about when you talk to your venue is making sure there's good transport connections, making sure that when you are booking a venue, it's easy for people to use sustainable modes of transport to actually get to your venue, whether that is coming on buses, coming on trains, also using other modes of transport, such as electric vehicles and also bikes, like behind me. Now, another thing to consider is lighting. Now, there's lots of benefits to lighting, and natural lighting has many benefits, such as an increased concentration rate of your attendees. People generally feel a lot better when they're in spaces with natural light. But if the venue has the ability to have a sensor type system where the sensors which turn lights on and off when attendees are in certain parts of the venue for your event, that can obviously have a big impact as well when it comes to reducing their carbon footprint. One of the things that we always look for when booking venues is opportunities for digital screens. So rather than having your branded materials on big branded posters, which obviously require lots of paper, looking at opportunities to put those marketing messages onto digital screens, reducing the amount of printing that's required for your event. Now, the second area we're going to look at now is around encouraging people to use sustainable transport. Now, the thing that we always like to do is when we're organising events, encourage people to plan their journey ahead of time. So what we'll always do is when we are running events, we will put journey planner tools within the invites that go out and within the pre-event marketing to encourage people to look ahead and plan their journey and try and think about how they can use sustainable transport as much as possible to get to our events. It's also worth thinking about deals that you can do with train operators. So obviously we're really lucky to do work for train operators and bus operating companies, but looking at opportunities to do deals with them and which allows more of your attendees to travel by rail, by bus and other modes of transport such as cycle schemes and the e-scooters that we have here in Birmingham. Looking at opportunities to encourage your attendees to use those. Now, the next part I'm going to talk about is some of the things that you can do as a host of events, and we all do as event managers, to think about how you can make your events a little bit more eco-friendly. And I've called this section Active Eco Management. Now, one of the things that we'll always do is we always automate our event management process. There's multiple different reasons for this. It reduces the amount of resource that's required. It brings in consistency for all of your attendees. But of course, what it also means is that there is less requirement for paper invites to go out. So automating your event management process and your event booking process is really important. One of the things you can consider doing as well is when people sign up to your event, when you take their requirements, whether it's their accessibility requirements, any adjustments that you can make for them, ask them if they require printed copies of your any paperwork that you might have at your event, and set it so it's almost like an opt-in option. What that means is it means that if people need access to printed materials for accessibility reasons, for example, you give them that option, but if they don't, they won't receive them, which obviously reduces the amount of paper that you're using at your events. One of the things to consider, linked to the previous point, is about ensuring that the papers and any material is available ahead of time so that people can actually download documents before attending your events. That obviously allows you to reduce paper and means that people can actually download the documents and put them into whichever format works best for them. On tickets, you can create virtual tickets, and those virtual tickets can be scanned when they arrive at your event rather than having paper tickets, which obviously require posting and require printing as well. And just generally using mobile apps is a great way to reduce the amount of paper consumption, and it can also really boost your audience interaction. And one of the things that we'll also think about when we're running events is when we're using branded materials, whether it's posters or other types of materials, thinking about opportunities to use them multiple different times. So if you're running an event and it's an event you run every year, look at opportunities to perhaps not put the date on things. So if it's a big printed material, you spent hundreds of pounds on it, perhaps think about opportunities just to put the event title on, but not the date, which means you can use it for years to come. And the final thing I'm going to talk about in active eco event management is around getting feedback. Typically, people would give you a feedback form at the end of the event, but there's so many opportunities now to automate that and to make it virtual, whether it's through having a QR code that people can scan or whether it is through sending out the opportunity for people to provide feedback at the end of the event. So those are my points, guys. Hopefully you have found that useful. We've covered 3 areas in this live event. We've covered things that you can do to ensure that when you're booking the venue, you're taking the best decisions to ensure that the event is as sustainable as possible, working really closely with your venue. We've discussed how you can encourage people to use sustainable modes of transport to actually access your event. And the third thing we've spoken about is how you as an event organizer can actively look at eco-management for your event and making some small decisions that can make a big impact to the planet. Hopefully you've all enjoyed this live event. Love to get some feedback from you guys. Remember, we're doing our weekly live events, which is our introduction to hybrid events. We've done our first one, which was all around introduction to a hybrid event. For those of you that weren't aware what a hybrid event is, hopefully you are now. We spoke on yesterday, about all the things that you can do to plan a really effective hybrid event. And next Wednesday, we're going to have our final live session. And that one is talking about all the things that you can do to create a engaging hybrid event experience for your in-person and online audiences. Hopefully you found this useful. I hope you all enjoy the rest of Earth Day 2021.